Thank you very much, Panos. So this time also try to speak a little bit slower compared to yesterday so that we don't have any translation problem. Yesterday, as you recall, we had 5 speakers that basically talked about, as you can recall, the VET concept. What is VET in general? How do we perceive VET on the European level in different member states? We talked about different what we call best practice examples relating to the so-called dual system in Germany. You remember what the representative from the German embassy said. So that was more the conceptual approach. And you all know that, I said that also yesterday very briefly, there is a European initiative that started last year. This year it will continue with the so-called European Vocational Skills Week that will take place in Brussels from 20th until 24th of November. And there it is always the same issue, basically, what can we do in order to raise the awareness of VET all over Europe? Because there's different perceptions, as you all know, and different attitudes with respect to parents who still would like to see their children go to university and not have VET as a first choice. But as you all know, VET is very important to make the economies boost and boom. And if we don't have enough candidates that have undergone the VET system, just with the engineers and the university degree youngsters with a bachelor or master's degree, we cannot fulfill the requirements that lots of our industries need. So this is why VET is important. So we start the second round now with another set of different perspectives. First of all, we have here representatives from the world of business, but also people coming from the chambers and different civil society actors. Before we start, I have to excuse Mr. Dario Manna, who is not able to speak today. Instead of Dario Manna, you will hear George Tsatsas, who I will invite very soon to take over the floor. Then we have sitting next to me Mr. Chris Aris, who comes from the development group Motor also. That is also very important, very well known all over the world. Then we have, to my right, Fernando Benavente, who is not Italian, as I have learned, but Spanish, living in Valencia, and representing the Euro-Reso network of VET providers in Italy. Am I right? Okay. And then we have Mr. Charles Hagensen, who is not sitting here now, but who I will invite later on. Charles is sitting over there, and he is from the Henco International Business Consultants France, from the beautiful city of Marseille. And then we have another person from Greece, Mr. Panagiotis Makrigiannis, who is the president of the Hellenic Scientific Association for Technical Vocational Education and Training, the last speaker. You will have now, when I give you the floor, not more than 15 minutes. Try to really respect that. And then we have about 5 minutes for questions and answers. And I ask George, please, you have the floor now with your first speech. Thank you.
I'm happy to try to fill Dario's shoes because the programs he was going to talk about are the programs that we at DIAN are also partners and we are trying to promote the mobility of professionals within EU, thus contributing to the mobility of labor force in Europe. The story is long. The Erasmus program began 30 years ago and actively promoted mobility of students, researchers, and citizens. So that was the baseline for all the programs that came after that. In 2012, in order to foster intra-EU labor mobility, the Commission created Your First Eurus Job, that now is in its 5th edition. It was an innovative program providing employment to young people aged 18 to 35 years old. And it made their movement more friendly to the job seekers. Then in 2016, the Commission thought that we should do something about those who are over 35. And indeed, at least in this country, the people over 35 who are unemployed also find it very difficult and want to move to a European country. They have the same mentality, and you will see the benefits later on. Finally, this year the Commission created another tool to foster intra-EU mobility, and it's called the European Solidarity Corps, the occupational strand, because they had the volunteer strand, to create opportunities for young people 18 to 30 to work in various areas. Areas like, we'll see the sectors later on. Why this was necessary? It was necessary to help unemployment of the countries of the South, especially to help employers find qualified workforce. So having a platform with CVs, it was easier to find those that theoretically they couldn't find in their own country. And a basic goal of the projects was to promote the circular migration, which strengthens the construction of a European citizenship. Meetings like this give us opportunities to get together and share common values and practices. It's a win-win-win scenario. Win for the mobile worker. They get to know the cultural environment, develop new skills, get into a different environment that fosters their talents. It was a win situation for the employers because it enhances basically their competitiveness, and it's a win situation for the European Union. Dealing with imbalances, dealing now with problems of refugees and migrants, and helping the EU integration. Now, let's see very quickly the two programs, Your First Eurus Job and Reactivate. They are very similar programs. The European Recruitment Service Network is supporting free movement of EU workers and competitiveness of EU employers. Your First Eurus Job is focusing on the younger people, 18 to 35. Reactivate is focusing on the people who are more experienced, and they're 35 plus. The commitment that the employer has to make is a contract of minimum 6 months, unless it's an apprenticeship that it can be for a smaller period. So it's bringing the two, the employers and the job seekers together, either for a proper job or for vocational training or for the dual system. It's established in all 28 European countries. It basically looks at workers with any qualification, although they tend to focus to the areas that have more demand, such as health sector, IT and engineering, tourism, logistics and transport, and wholesale or customer care. So the emphasis is there, but it's open really regardless of the qualifications or the experience of the job seekers. IFES also has takes nationals from Norway or Iceland, and the idea is that you can employ someone from a different country but not within your own country. So a Greek would find a job in one of the other 27 or 29 with Norway and Iceland place. The reactivate is the same. It doesn't apply to Norway or Iceland. All you need is to be a resident of the EU and willing to move to another country. Am I going too fast? No.
Or not.
All right. The services basically to the job seekers is, all right, to welcome them, to support them with CV completion or assessment of their language skills. There are the massive open online courses that are basically free, and they can complement what they have already done, so they make themselves more attractive to the employer. All they have to do is register their CV in Europass format in the platform that we'll see. So we let them know what the vacancies are. We support them with the mobility financially, paying for the language courses that they may need to complete before or during their employment. And also they get benefits from their transportation, either for the interview and daily allowance and hotel accommodation, either for the interviews that they go to see a prospective employer, or for the relocation once the contract has been signed and they can take, let's say, their family, their immediate family with them to the new place of employment. As I said, the financial support is related to the interview trip. It depends on the country and so on. The relocation is significant. Language training can go up to 2,000 euros. Recognition of qualifications, I don't know how often this happens, at least in our country. I haven't seen it very often, but there is, I think, perhaps an examination for doctors or whatever. If there is a cost, it's covered by the program. A supplementary relocation for family members. Now, the services to the employers is, again, trying to help them identify and define the vacancy. And then the vacancy is entered into the same platform so that eventually there is the matching process that takes place, and we help with that process as well. The service is free, and this is something we need to mention, and it is, we work like a recruiting agency, doing some screening for the employer. And they have financial support, especially the small businesses, if they have an integration program for the incoming employee. How do they work? It's the European Hub for Job Mobility. This is the network of cooperating counselors in the programs, and what they do, this is what the platform looks like, and you either put your first eurosjob.eu or reactivate job.eu, and you are in the same platform. Time is running out, so I'll go faster. That's the unique platform. As I said, you register your company. They need to have the details so that it's on the system. Finally, let me go to the European Solidarity. They say it takes 5 days. I think it takes a little bit longer, but we're trying to do our best. The European Solidarity is basically a new program that we have launching later this month, although it has begun. And the areas cover health as well, youth activities, shelter construction, support, environmental protection, prevention of disasters. So it's all the activities, food aid, all the activities that are linked to the social state. Thank you.